Thank you for joining us in the hot box of a room. We're just as hot as you are, but we're going to try and get through this. The title of our presentation is Give Your Clients What They Want, Not What They're Asking For. Even in this title, there was some divisiveness amongst the team. It's like, well, we don't want to make the clients feel like they don't know what they're talking about. The reality is, anyone that we come in contact with, they're going to have an expansive breadth of knowledge in their industry, right? But the same can be said about what we bring to the table. So what we're trying to do with this presentation is basically show you that sometimes you can lean into some of your strengths as a studio to really build out solutions for problems that clients may not be able to even dream of yet. And that's why we're trying to deliver what they want, maybe not just what they're asking for on surface level. So to give you an idea of who we are, my name is Evan Denton. I'm the Associate Creative Director at DHD, and this is Shahzad, our Creative Director and Founder. Shahzad is a third-generation filmmaker. He comes from a long line of this. You could say he was born to do it. An amazing boss. He's done content.
You should hear what he said in the weekly meeting, just not what he said.
This man here has done content across 5 different continents. He has traveled the globe doing film. And just a really generous person, I have to say. If there's one thing that I know about Shahzad, his gift is connecting people. So if you need to meet somebody in the industry, if you have a need, he's like the Great Gatsby. He knows everybody can do anything. Really, really wonderful boss to work for.
All right, I'm going to buy you lunch. All right, that's enough. So Evan and I have worked together for almost 8 years now. Evan spent the first half of his career in a newsroom, and I think you're going to see some of that come through in the presentation. But that's not. Let's go to next. What's next?
So why do you guys care? Obviously, we're here for 30 minutes of story time, but what are you going to walk out of the room with, right? I want to give you guys basically 3 actionable things that you can bring into any client conversation that will kind of, really give you the edge when you're making creative decisions. Maybe these are things you've heard, maybe they're not. But we're also going to show you 3 examples that we've kind of taken from DHD's history to show how some of these things can play out really well. So a little bit of a teaser there. 3 pillars that turn tension into triumph, right? Every conversation, there's an opportunity to kind of, take a little bit of creative risk. It's knowing when to push and when to pull that can make all the difference in a project that kind of makes both parties happy, right? So I'll give it to Shahzad for case study 1.
Fantastic. So the format of this is we're going to share 3 of our experiences. We hope that we'll leave some time to hear from the room. I recognize a lot of faces, a lot of experience in the room. In this, what you're going to see is 1 of the case studies is from hospitality sector, 2 are from healthcare, life sciences, higher ed. And I think what they have in common, what I hope you take away, what I hope we share, is the breakthroughs are really just on the other side of discomfort, right? It's the client comes to you with an ask, they've done work with you, there's established trust, and you've gone through procurement, all of that has happened. One thing I can definitively say, while these experiences are from the last 4 or 5 years, had we delivered exactly what the client in each one of these 3 instances had asked, we would have failed them, right? That's definitively something I could say. And then furthermore, I don't think we would have had them as a client. Rough Creek's been a client over a decade. If you're in the agency space, you're in the production space, that's really hard, right? Because clients are looking for the next big idea. So to keep that relationship 10, 12, 13 years is a long time. So this is, I thought it was quite interesting, Evan called it. This is for Parkland. Anybody ever, I hope you haven't had to go to Parkland ER, but I'll tell you this, if you had to go to an ER in DFW, Parkland's probably a good one to go to. It's the busiest ER in the country. And it's been this way for a long time. So we call this a layup because, let's go to the next slide, Evan. So the client came to us. this involves video and animation, but also some out of home. So they had a strong concept that they wanted to play at high school football games, and this was going to be, they'd had a campaign name, "Our Team is Here for Your Team." And so we thought this was going to be easy. We'd done some work with them. We knew what their goals were. And so we did some concept development, presented it to the team in the marketing department, and then it went up to the senior vice president of the hospital. And then I think the next slide has his verbatim, maybe. So we get this email. Actually, his team shared, "I don't want another Parkland commercial." I'm curious, what do you do at this point? Any ideas? Any suggestions? What's that?
Look at the old Parkland commercials and figure out what not to do.
What not to do, okay.
I like it.
What else? For me, I think it was, there's been a lot of time and effort poured into the creative that we'd done that the marketing team had really liked. And what was surprising is, but this was crazy. I mean, for us to not have a clue, but our client to not have a clue was what surprised me. And that's when I realized I think there's something that we have to uncover. And so we asked for a meeting, and everybody was on edge, in this. But what we realized is we were solving for the wrong problem. You see, Parkland is the busiest ER in the country, and the SVP's concerned, his name is Michael. I will not disclose his last name. He's a really smart fellow. His concern was he didn't want to drive more traffic to the hospital. When you hear Parkland, you generally think of the hospital that's off at 35 Medical District. What you don't realize, and we certainly didn't know before we started working with Parkland, they have 15 community clinics. They have a dozen or so mobile vans that do everything from vaccination to breast cancer screening to family planning services, all kinds of things that happen within the community outside of the hospital. And so I think when we paused, when we embraced the discomfort, when we didn't vilify the client, and when we asked the why behind the what, I think we have a screenshot of, so this is what we came up with the revised creative. You saw some of the early concepts. And here sorry, I don't have a clicker or a pointer, but what you'll see is, we made it about the other things, right? And it was a 45-second piece that, the video was 45 seconds. This is some of the artwork from it. I think do we have the next?
3 ways you can visit Parkland without actually visiting Parkland Hospital. There are 15 Parkland Health Community Clinics across Dallas County offering chronic care, sick visits, checkups, and more. Our mobile services include vaccinations, mammograms, homeless outreach, asthma care, and senior home health visits. Visit a pop-up event for important screenings like blood pressure and diabetes. We're a team of health experts available right in your community. That's how our team is here for your team. To find one of these services near you, visit parklandhealth.org/yourteam.
See, what he didn't say to us when he said, "I don't want another Parkland commercial," is he didn't want to drive traffic, but we had to ask that. The other thing that we know, having worked with UT Southwestern Children's Parkland, when patients end up in the ER, the health outcomes aren't the best versus when they go to a community clinic. The cost of the taxpayer, so this whole narrative that could be built and translated into a full-on campaign. This is just one of the deliverables. There were sweatshirts made with this, and further. What's the next one, Evan? Or did I miss something in the Parkland?
No, I think that's.
Okay.
I mean, final output, what you saw was a digital signage piece, so it had to exist not only as a video that they could put on social, but then say it's playing on a jumbotron at a high school football game. You have to be able to kind of resonate and see what's happening without hearing anything because of the chaos that's all high school football.
Yeah.
So really cool piece, and then we extrapolated a lot of that to make some other ads and creative outlets for them. So the next kind of case study that we want to talk about, I love to start with this joke. A hunter, a CEO, a bridezilla, and a family of 5 walk into a resort. What do all of these folks have in common? You're all correct. The answer is nothing. And that was the problem that we had to figure out, right? Rough Creek is a ranch and resort that kind of lets you sort of create your own journey in a sense. They have a lot of different amenities, and they had these different kind of potential customers and guests that come through the space. They rent out their entire place for venues. They have hunting. Your leadership team can go there for a retreat. The problem is none of these people really want to interact with each other, right? If you're a facilitator for a leadership team, you don't want to see a family of 5 kids running around the premises. Like, that's not conducive to a great work retreat. If you are a bride, you want that kind of cinematic, you want the whole grounds, right? It needs to be your place. You don't want kids, you don't want hunters or leadership teams walking around. You want it to be your special place for your wedding. So that was sort of the initial problem that we faced when we were asked to help with this rebrand.
So, Evan, can I just quickly add, before we got to this, and I think this is another theme that you're going to see, each one of these was not our first engagement with a client. We'd done work over the years. We'd actually worked with 2 U.S. presidents at Rough Creek. So this is a 11,000-acre resort in Glen Rose, Texas. So it was, it was established entity. It wasn't a new business.
Right.
Which meant it was, and I remember we hosted the owner and CEO in the studio. I said, well, this is going to be easy. Which group is the biggest revenue generator for you? And what was crazy is almost a quarter of their revenue came from each one of those 4 segments. Which one do you lead with at that point? Any answers, any suggestions? Which group do you lead with? If all 4 of the stakeholders are equally... All of them. How do you do that? Work hard, really hard. Sam will tell you, Sam was actually the producer. Sam is in the 3rd row there. He was the executive producer on this. He'll tell you that it was really not working hard, it was working smart. And Evan will share with you, because the big breakthrough happened in a conversation with Evan and the client.
Sure. So, I came in and took inventory of what we already had. We'd already been to the premises several times to get the very vast amount of amenities, right? They have like a rock wall, they have zip line. You can't cover everything in one day. And as we were kind of going through this struggle of like, what do we lead with? What's going to be at the top of their website? How do you do that without alienating another one of the groups that could be a potential buyer? We came up with this idea
Evan,
that
before you go to the idea, sorry.
Yeah.
What did the client come to us? Because I think it maps back to give them what they want and hopefully what they need versus what they're asking for. What was the initial ask? Or Sam,
The initial ask was a video about hunting, about...
I think it was 4 deliverables, right?
It was 4 different deliverables, but also they wanted to feature 84 amenities that they have.
No one has that kind of time, right? And so what we decided to do was lean into that flexibility as a strength and really kind of make the premises itself a character in the piece. And so you can see here in just a second, what it ended up being is really a dance of this or that, right? Like our place can be this or it can be that. And if we could make this feel like almost like Disneyland on a ranch, we were going to be able to capture any one of those buyers without really alienating one of the others. So we'll kind of show you how we did this. And I think it's important to note, it took a lot of risk on our part. We kind of took inventory of what we had. We talked to the CEO, the owner, and we said, hey, we've got this idea. Give us one more day. If we can capture these 12 shots, we think we can make something that's going to blow your socks off. And that's exactly what we did. So here is that video. You can see the interplay.
At Rough Creek, we like to keep things open. And we're not just talking about the views. Really, we're open to all kinds of things. Pull up in the SUV? Okay. Land in a little more style. we're open to that. Out here, it's a perfect mix of rustic charm and modern elegance that greets your business team of 40 or your family of 5. Spend the night on nature's doorstep or lodge in a suite worthy of our incredible sunrise. Stay a short while or never leave at all. You could say we know a thing or two about food. Come for familiar favorites or blaze a new trail with bold flavors. The bar is open, but I can tell you, there's a bottle that's been waiting 50 years for this moment. Most say open days are the best days at the lodge. With over 80 activities, boredom is about the only thing you won't find out here. Put your aim to the test. Treat the missus to a world-class pampering session. Here, the scenery is even better with a club in hand. And the trails only end when you pull back the reins. Whether it's a big win, and I do, or simple just 'cause, our award-winning staff is here to make sure your time in Texas Hill Country is unmatched in quality. People sure have a lot of nice things to say about us. We hope you're open to coming down to Rough Creek Lodge. It's the place to be.
So that concept of you becoming the master of your own adventure, I think, was a really great anchor to be able to showcase all of those things without the fear of kind of overlapping for a bad vacation.
Just in case if you're going to book a stay at Rough Creek, do use the promo code DHD Films. You know, I want to go back to, before we go to the next one, I think the client, he'd run a successful business for 20 years. He's a serial entrepreneur. He knew what he wanted, and he wanted those 4 different videos. We took some chances, right? Saying that I think you need one. Because the premise that I had, that I think he finally landed on, I said, if we do these 4 things for you, for these 4 different audiences, which one are you going to put on your landing page? Right? And so keeping that distribution, and he didn't have an answer for that. And there's not a whole lot that he doesn't have an answer for, right? And so I think that extended that trust. And we de-risked it for him. We said, you know what, if we don't accomplish what it is that you and the leadership team at your resort feel is the best path forward, we will do those 4. So we took some financial, risk, right? We'll do it, you won't pay for it, that kind of stuff, because we were confident in our approach. So I think taking some risk is part of the process.
I think the outsider perspective too, right? They're so close to trying to care for the different groups of people they cater to that they're always going to jump to almost worst case scenario where they're tripping over each other, which in reality really isn't quite the case.
100%. Yeah, great. This is, again, coming back to the healthcare. UT Southwestern, I think at one point UT Southwestern had more Nobel laureates than any other teaching hospital in the country. So can we go to the next slide, Evan? So our first engagement, we were doing, this is 2017. That's the other thing about doing work, is it lasts the test of time. So this was 2017, our first engagement, 2017, late 2017. We were doing 360 videos. And so they had just invested $10 million in cath labs. Cath labs are where heart procedures take place. They just brought in a new head of cardiac. And so the head of PR had brought us in, and they wanted to do a 360 cath lab tour where the doctor kind of talks through the, you know, the bells and whistles. And so we said, okay, but who's going to watch that? Like, I mean, that's not going to do anything for you on your YouTube. And in that conversation, one of the insights that the head of PR shared is, you know, we want earned media. And I knew this video wasn't going to do that for them. That I was confident. So, but because this was our first engagement with them, we went ahead and did this. Go to the next slide. And then once we finished that first one, having that insight, they'd said that they wanted earned media. They have a new head of cardiac. They had this new facilities. We'd done a little bit of research and realized that nobody had ever captured a heart transplant in 360 globally. Never been done. They'd done there was talks of it, but nobody had pulled it off. And so we pitched them maybe 3 weeks from that initial, we pitched them in the lobby of UT Southwestern. What if we did a heart transplant and streamed it live? That got them really uncomfortable. But you kind of have to go a little far and let them reel you in versus play it safe. So guess what happened? Within 2 weeks of us pitching that to them, they signed off on everything except the live streaming. And then within 3 months, we were, actually, I'm going to let you watch this video. So this is 2018.
We're about 8 hours into our inaugural 360 heart transplant.
The client came to us and they're like, hey, we want to do Facebook 360. And that's when we reached out to DHD and just working together and putting this, not only like a story, but like an experience together.
Today, working with the 360 cameras, it's different from your regular video capture. There's been a lot of testing on our end to make sure that we can capture a 5 to 6 hour procedure.
With all of the gear, we practiced, we set it up, we tore it down, walked out the doors and walked right back in and timed ourselves doing it again. I mean, we're participating in a life-changing event, and that carries a lot of weight.
We only see this in Grey's Anatomy and ER, right? It's a symphony in there.
There's so many different things moving, like the timing and the structure and everything. The initial call came in at 1:30 in the morning.
That's why I picked up the phone and there it was.
I hope that today is the beginning of a new way to help tell people's stories.
We're making history for our clients. We're making history for health sciences. We're making history for filmmaking. I close my eyes and I think about all the applications in the classroom, OR training, in marketing.
This is a big thing for a lot of different players, so it's very cool to be part of it.
DHD's been awesome. The ability to just say, here's an idea, what do you guys think? Give me best recommendations. Like, sky's the limit.
We don't shy away from big challenge. Right? I mean, this is what I get excited about when I wake up.
One thing, thank you. One thing I'll share is before you pitch a heart for that matter, any transplant, Google how long it takes for that procedure. So I had no idea that the range is between 5 and 10 hours based on the complications, based on the donor heart, the recipient, and some of the underlying. So while we'd done tons of 360 capture and live stream at this point, we'd never done something that needed to be recorded for 5 hours. I think in this case it was a 6 hour procedure. So after we sold it, we had to go then figure out. So we ended up having to use 6 cameras because we had to cycle them on and off. But that's what, I don't think that's the part that scares any of the folks in this room. That's why we get excited about it, right? So just a side note, you don't have to have all the answers, right? Sell a big idea, or hell, don't sell one. Just, partner with a client. Get them excited about an idea, have a workshop, and because it was bold, you get alignment and buy-in. This is, I think and somebody's welcome to do this, the last time I checked at the beginning of this year, it is YouTube. UT Southwestern has been on YouTube for about 12 years. This is the most viewed video on, not this video, but the procedure video, the actual 7-minute film, is the most viewed video in their YouTube history. So again, when you do something that's unexpected, the results are there for the taking. This is some of the engagement. I don't know what you screened. There's like 120,000, but you made sure we didn't put anything crazy up there, right?
No, there are obviously some crazy ones because it's YouTube. But, I think there were 2 facets of it. A lot of people have never tried to watch a heart transplant, which, kind of like content advisor, if you go watch this video, you will see things that you didn't think the human body could go through, right? It is wild. But the second thing is when people realize that they could kind of control their perspective of the situation, like, hey, what is this doctor doing at this moment? Oh, he walked over there to go grab like another heart off the table. Oh, I can zoom in and watch the heart start pumping. Like, it is borderline miracle put to video, and I think being able to share that with people online was something that the client was really, really proud of.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're going to recap and then open up the Q&A.
Yeah. So looking back at the 3 pillars, these are kind of the ideologies that tied back into kind of these 3 case studies, asking the why behind the what. There is always a question behind the question, right? Always be sure that you might know the initial intent of why a client is asking you to do a certain project, but go even further than that. There's always going to be some underlying issue or complication or something that you can be the answer for. You can be the problem solver instead of just the executioner. The next one is lean into your outsider perspective. These guys are often so hyper-focused on their industry, which is a good thing, that oftentimes we can bring in some answers that they may not have even thought of in the past. Some capabilities that they didn't know were possible, like a 360. And then lastly, over-deliver early and often. All of these repeat clients keep coming back to us because we are able to kind of deliver above the standard and deliver often and early. That helps build the trust to let you push the envelope with some of your more creative asks. And then I threw this one in there because I'm kind of an editor at heart, but another thing, if you guys don't already do this, share both edits. You can have the edit that they've asked for, and if there's something that you think you can engineer to be even better of a story, do that edit, let them pick between A and B. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with the one that feels more passionate and less just checking the boxes of what they asked for.
We simply just call it a director's cut.
Yeah.
And selfishly, that's the one we want to use for promo purposes, right? So it's when you've tried everything, and I think this is really useful when it's post-related. They want this and they want this, and I'd say maybe 20% of the time, we're doing a director's cut, maybe 15 to 20% of the time. Yeah. Right, it's just a little additional effort, and I think your stat is spot on. I think 9 out of 10, they end up going with the director's cut. So,
what they wanted, not just what they asked for.
Yep.
Questions?
Hi, I was thinking back at the, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
At the ranch one, and just like as your business practices in general, when you're talking about the individual unique people going to the ranch, were there unique, I guess my question would be, was there unique interest, or were the hunters going? And so then the families were coming, spending extra money because they were going with dad? Or were people coming and taking advantage of it because they were there for a wedding, and so that was the initial in, but there was an overlap in what was the initial draw in the door, and they were trying to make sure they were getting unique reasons for coming in the door, or how did that all kind of?
Great question. I could share personal experience. I'd worked with, I'd worked there many times. Thank you, Kellyanne. I promise we're done. Kelly and I work together. When she brings water, that means my time's up. So we're at Q&A already. We're at Q&A. Okay. So next month is my 15th wedding anniversary. I proposed to my wife at Rough Creek. It was I was filming President Bush. We were working with him at Rough Creek. I was so impressed with the facilities that I ended up using that as a proposal. So there's a lot of spillover, but going to your original question, the first time people are there, they're there with that distinct group. So you either attending a wedding, or you're there for a hunting trip, or you're there for a leadership retreat, right? What was the fourth group? Or a family staycation. And for the client, they've always experienced where one unique audience doesn't care for the other, right? And they have mechanisms there. You can do an exclusive buyout. So when the two times we worked with the U.S. presidents, they did a buyout. Like, you could do all of those things. But I think that the key was, how do we showcase the different things that people are attracted to about, because they have a chapel there, they have a family pool, and it's a terrific spot. I must probably work with a half a dozen Fortune 100 companies for executive retreats there. So it's got some really unique use cases. So it wasn't, while what you're saying is true, the audiences do come for a very specific reason. They may re-come again with their family after a retreat, which is the spillover benefit. Does that answer your question?
It does. I just want to, and I guess my follow-up to that would be, what, as you look and you take on these clients, and I guess with all the pre-production, or like the research phase, how much do you guys dig in and kind of forensically look at some of that information, as you're trying to decide like how to kind of steer this? What is that fancy here? Do you guys through that, or what is that look like?
Sam, can you answer that?
I can tell you, from my perspective, there's nothing more important than kickoff. I will ask question after question after question. In regards to Rough Creek, you can tell that you can just look in the parking lot and see that the constituencies are vastly different, just by the cars that are coming in. But with my kickoff meeting on this project, it was literally 2 hours long. And I've known the guy for a while, and I've met him. I went to his place, he came to our place. We talked a long time. And that's probably why at the end of the day, he wants 84 things in his video, right? but at the end of the day, that kickoff meeting to me defines the entire project. In fact, a lot of times, I actually think script writing is very easy, right? Because for me, I'm taking a lot of notes, I'm actually more than taking a lot of notes. I'm really listening to what they're saying, and a lot of times in the script, they'll hear their words, and that'll validate the script for them in many ways.
Sam, one thing I'd add to that, and Travis jump in. Travis leads our production team. So one thing I'll say is, by design, we are always asking at the kickoff, even in the sales meeting, we're asking way more than what they're commissioning us for. I want to know their fears. I want to know their desires. I want to know their, what are they excited about? Because at UT Southwestern, while the first commissioning they reached out to us for had nothing to do with earned media, but in asking the question, what are some of the measures of success? Earned media was a big one. So when we came back to pitch them the next project, it was all about earned media. There were over 100 news outlets that picked up the UT Southwestern heart transplant. You can't buy that, or it'd be very expensive, that kind of press coverage, right? So I'd say that it's about asking questions and listening.
No questions off the table. You want to be able to feel their pain, so you can produce something that touches their pain.
Yeah. In the front, yes.
I like this video. 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. I'm from Ukraine. and we had such videos 10 years ago, and it was great for video marketing, and people loved this. Today, the customer asks you, I want maybe 4, as you said, to my audience, target audience. So when I shoot the video like this, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's too easy for me because I have a storytelling.
Yeah.
To make a script for storytelling for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's more easy.
Then to do it for 30.
And
30 seconds.
It doesn't matter 1 camera or 10 cameras.
Yeah.
Because it's a storytelling.
Yeah.
How to make a storytelling for 30 seconds?
Yeah. Great question.
And for direct target audience. So 10 years ago, when I paid advertising in Google, and I make my customer my website watcher, but today people want to have such customer direct from this advertising.
Yeah.
So they don't want to spend money for funnel. So I explained that.
Yeah.
Man, you need such video, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. Great.
You need to have 3 shots, 5 vertical, and it will be 6 months. And they say me, hey, bye. But don't want do serious marketing, video marketing. But here, it's a video for main page,
Yeah.
website.
That's the key.
It's a for hot audience.
Yes.
It means that customer prepared
100%.
for this video.
They're in the
So,
funnel already.
Yeah, it's at the end of the funnel.
100%.
So the decision was made, but maybe some notices they need to just, oh yeah, I'm done. They-
No.
And my question about how to make maybe this 4, but short.
Yeah.
Maybe 1, but not
Yeah.
short, like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy to share. I think there were over a dozen deliverables from this landing page video. So there were other deliverables. They were activity specific. They were target audience specific. That's what you go to your search engine your paid ads, right? Those are specific because in the wedding stuff, you want to go to market with that, or the hunting based on seasonal. So all of that was there. But what we walked the client away from was doing that for the landing page, right? Having an overarching theme when they're on the website, right? So we at DHD, and I'm happy to share if you drop me a note on LinkedIn or an email, we try to talk clients, instead of 1 deliverable, we call it a DHD impressions engine. You can get 30 or so deliverables. The verticals and the horizontals and the caption, the non-caption, the GIFs, all of that is, so I think, and I see some of our peers doing this, right? They're no longer commissioning us for 1 asset. They're getting 3 dozen assets, right? And that allows us to ask for the 50, 100, 200, whatever it is that you're charging, right? Whether it's 5,000 or 50,000 or 500,000. I think when you can give them more than what they came to you for, magic happens. That would be my answer to your question if I understood it. Well, how are we doing on time? Do we 5 minutes?
like 5
So we'll do 2 more. Yeah.
My question is regarding the ranch video as well. Going based off of what Evan said, folks want to see themselves within the ranch or they can be there. I noticed well, I don't know if it's true, I guess that's my question. In the first half of the video, you don't actually see a whole lot of faces until the second half. So my question was about the process. Is that something that you storyboard and find out? Is that something that's found out in the edit? Is that something that you found out because you work with the client often? Like, was that a conscious decision, or did anyone notice that? Like, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I was actually the writer for that piece and the editor, so I had a little bit of a a good advantage to know, and I was actually directing the piece too, so. It's
Sam,
amazing when you have
Sam,
all
what
the
were
info.
you, Sam, what were you doing on this piece?
It was a boondoggle for me.
Sam was at the bar the entire time.
My whole idea was just to romanticize the place first before you start sharing it with other people. So even in just like the delineation of the shots that we use, there's sweeping vistas, there's a lot of sound design. It's a little bit harder to hear in this room, but we wanted to bring people there first and kind of give them that serenity of the ranch before we started saying, and also there's zip line, and also there's a bowling alley. Like there's a lot of things, but even in showing that one shot where the guy's on the mountaintop, there's a hiking trail, you know, that was our answer to, we don't have the time and we don't have the pace to cut in 84 things. Can we show the one thing that we're gonna romanticize and people are gonna really want to do? And then we'll find a way to graphically kind of embed a lot of the other activities. And that was our answer. So it kind of visually just keeps ramping up, and we're not introducing the, like, you know, 5 Condé Nast Awards, top 5 best places to get married. None of that comes till the end when they've already kind of seen the experience, and then we can kind of come back in with the accreditations and like, if you're not already convinced, here is, you know, the top recognitions this place receives, so.
And if we're being 100% honest here, we'll be honest. We had shot
A lot.
virtually everything. And then we came back and said, we just don't want this. And I mean, and that's when we go back to the client and we said, you know what?
It's not doing you justice.
We need another half day to go shoot. And literally, it was 10 shots, something like
Yeah.
that. And we just outlined, these are the shots that we want to do. We have so much footage of Rough Creek Lodge that we will never be able to do.
And all that's get reutilized into like kind of more the drip marketing of like, okay, here's the, you know, the montage of all of the wedding venue and capabilities. Like it gets put to use, but if you're just trying to show, if you're trying to entice somebody to come and see what it's all about, you have to stay very high level and kind of poetic about it in a sense.
There's one more.
We were trying, this is the last one, we were trying to give the client everything he wanted until we realized we're giving him not what he needs.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one more question. I think it was you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so oftentimes as video professionals, we meet clients that have, you know, relationships with agencies. And my question is how do you blur the lines, right, as a video partner to be part of like distribution planning, comps planning, creative as far as like headline and tagline creation, like how do you like have that conversation of like strategy, insights, right? But you also still as a video partner, as a vendor, so that's my question.
I'll take that. Go ahead.
Oh, Travis, you want to?
Stand up so that they, okay, go ahead, Evan.
We have found that doing things without even being asked is the most effective way to get your foot in the door. They may not have asked for 6 social cuts, but we're going to deliver it as icing on the cake. Hey, we had a great time working on this video. I hope you guys love it as much as we do. Also, if you find these useful, these are kind of the most effective ways we thought this could be chopped up. As soon as they see that proactive approach, they're going to come to you the next time and say, hey, I remember those 6 things. We have this video that this other team did. Can you chop this up into 6 the way you did that one? And slowly and surely, you're going to start working your way into the conversation more. That's generally like.
We only give that first time free. I just want to be clear.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And it's to show. So I think that's not just about the social cuts. The same thing with the strategy, right? So we started in traditional, you know, production studio, and that's in our name, DHD Films. We've got a 6-person design team, so we wanted to grow that part of the business. So it was an active decision, but Evan's right. You got to start doing that. If that's the work you want to do, you got to start doing it, whether they're willing to pay for it or not, right? Because if you get really good at it, then the next client will.
I'd add one thing.
Yeah.
Sort of what Sam was talking about before, just asking a lot of questions and taking a lot of notes, and when you become the video vendor that understands them, that helps them out, that proposes the new solution, or adds that little something to the piece that they weren't expecting, because you did that groundwork, you did the Nancy Drew groundwork, and learned about them and asked all those questions, then that starts to create a relationship where you become more of a strategic partner
100%.
than just a video vendor.
It is our goal to not be a vendor for any of our clients. We want to be a partner, right? Where they can come to us for ideas, and I think the last thing I'll share is, if we can lend our bravery to our clients, that's really what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's a UT Southwestern, Rough Creek, it's lending our bravery so we can do great work together. Because you need them to do great work. We can't do great work in absence of our clients. So that's what I would say is, let them reel you back in, right? So if you think the lines, let them define the lines for you, right? Because the worst thing I think we could do as storytellers is draw the lines too small, right? Let them reel you in, and that's not a downside.
Y'all have been the best, most overheated room of people, the calmest, the best questions. Thank you so much.